Hey guys, Elena is not here. So welcome to Elena Barre's fitness and all her stuff that she does. Um, Please like and subscribe to her channel. She is without internet. She's really bummed about not being here.
Yeah, she's in a little bit of a tiz too. Actually, her internet service provider had a glitch. So okay. So you want to head this up, or do you want me to? I've prepared
You,
some notes
you
and sent them to you.
you had it up. You got the notes. Here, I'll switch it so you're on the left side. Here, I'm gonna. How do I do that? There you go. That's better.
Okay. So the theme of this is what is the theme? Can women be friends with each other?
Gosh, Elena really is gonna be bummed for missing this one.
Uh, we
Hopefully her
can do it.
internet comes back on.
So what she was excited about was uh women, the woman to woman dynamics. And oftentimes women just don't get along with other women. And
Imagine that.
yeah, you know, if you've ever had a wife that has worked in a place with a lot of other women, they come home and they're ranting and raving and they're all pissed off and whatever woman you're talking to has derogatory names for different women that she has to interact with. And it's you get a bunch of women together. Uh, it can get vicious. Does it always get vicious? Well, at times, my observation says it does.
It's like a pack of hens. Is that what they call it? A pack of hens going
Yeah, kind of.
with the gossip and the backbiting, and one walks away, then they start whispering about the other. Hey, did you hear what happened to so and so? Oh, get the Mean Girls Club and all that stuff. Hey, even in church, right? You can have church girls that do that to each other.
Yeah. So, uh, this is what I want to start out with.
All
I
right.
prepared these notes, and I was going to let Elena take it where she wanted to, but hey, I guess I'll take it there. Uh, so I called this the female friendship facade. So, at its core, do women understand women?
Mm, sick at none.
I don't really think so. Because does a woman understand herself? I mean, yeah, kind of superficially, but a woman feels what she feels. Does she know why she's feeling that?
No.
And so, uh, the opposing woman, the other woman, is going to feel what that woman is feeling.
Hmm.
So, is there any comprehension of what makes that, what triggers or is causing those feelings? And
Perhaps a perceived slight or something that made them feel something. Some action or cause or behavior that
you,
that is now they're reacting with feelings to that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But, that's not an understanding.
No.
That's a perception of what feelings are. So, do women like women?
Nah. Sometimes. Usually reasonable women don't. The more reasonable women that are able to think things kind of more rationally, they tend not to get along with a lot of other
That's true, but those reasonable women, they're still women. They
women.
still
Right.
have a lot of emotions.
Hmm.
And when they're heavily in their emotions, they're no more rational than other women. Okay, I'm making generalized statements here. Okay, it's generally true. Let's not quibble about is that always true? I know this exception where this wasn't true. Okay, yeah, okay,
Death
I
by
grant,
a thousand.
grant all your exceptions. But
Naywalt. Yeah.
here's the next thing. Can emotion understand emotion? Because in conflict, a woman is going to feel emotion. The other woman
Hmm.
is going to feel emotion. When you're in your emotions, can you really understand the other person? Yes, you can feel their emotions and you react to their emotions, but
Hmm.
it's penetrating your boundary. You're not able to put a buffer to their emotions and then think somewhat rationally behind the scenes to deal with it.
So that's like a distinction between like sympathy and empathy.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do men like women? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, unless you're like a doomer black pilled MGTOW guy, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not
Okay,
looking, but yeah, I like women.
so can reason, okay, and I'm implying here that men are predominantly, uh, their brain operates on reason. Predominantly, men can get very emotional too. But can reason understand emotion?
Yeah.
It can. Yeah, and
In
we'll
a
get in,
sense, unless it's irrational emotion, then you just notice that's irrational and you can't fully understand it.
but you can understand that it's irrational.
That's correct. It's like sin.
See,
It's ultimately irrational. And if you get down to it, it's ultimately irrational, but you can say it's sin, you can understand it, you can kind of understand why, but ultimately it's grounded in irrational lack of reason, lack of rationality.
yeah. So, I mean, I have some more on this that we'll get into.
Okay, okay.
Why reason is still the answer and can understand emotion, but it doesn't always. And if the emotion a woman is exhibiting towards the man is too intense, and the man is not controlling of himself enough, he's going to uh, take in those emotions and he's going to get emotional. That's when things get volatile. Because, okay, she pushed you just that little bit too far, and now you've had it. Okay, when a man gets in a fight with a man, are they thinking with reason? Either one of them?
When a man gets in a fight with another man,
Yes,
sometimes,
sometimes, but it's really that fight is usually driven by emotions.
usually one person and another, but sometimes there's war. Sometimes, hey, there's a legitimate beef. Sometimes they're both drunk, or one person's drunk, the other one's in his right mind.
Well, right. Okay, let's talk bar fight. If it's a bar fight, there's emotion involved, which leads them to that. Yeah, okay, there's justifiable. Maybe The one man is still reasonable. The other man is just insulting and whatnot. And so, okay, but there's emotion on one side. And that's why we get to the next question. Do men like men?
Yeah.
Men are okay.
Yeah. We don't carry grudges. We don't carry grudges usually that long.
It's not a like or dislike. Yeah, okay. It's more of a, yeah, I respect him, or no, I don't respect him. And ideally, you're using reason to get to that point.
Well, there's one sense that men. I was reading. So like I was preparing for another counterculture sexuality on the resurgence of sanity. Like and subscribe to at the resurgence of sanity. I was reading Dabney, and he was talking about emotions and friendship, and even for men with men. He says, now if you have a group of men you already know and like, and you see you come in a room and a bunch of them are laughing, you're going to come in, you're still going to be impacted and usually come on with you're already smiling coming in and wondering what the joke is. So you're actually buying in a little bit. So men aren't completely, without influence of emotion. But if it's complete strangers, you might not come in with that smile on your face.
I have to find the other thing I wanted to share. It's a nice. I sent all this stuff to Elena, but okay. Man, this is being a problem.
Uh-oh. Are we having a boomer moment?
Yeah. Okay. Yep, I'll get there. So okay, I gotta find StreamYard again. I'm working on a laptop. I'm not depth
Okay.
at
Are you trying to pull up the notes?
No, the prep PowerPoint screen that I did.
Oh yeah, I have that.
Okay, can you put that up?
Yeah. I gotta find it. I need to pull up my. Need to make sure I have the right document pulled up and that my entire email's not showing. There you go. Well, I'm waiting for it to load. All right. So now I'm going to present, share screen, and I'm going to go to window, share. There you go.
Okay, can you blow that up?
Let me see.
We can use this, but it'd be nicer if it was blown up. Okay.
I'm going to adjust it just a little. How about that? Is that good?
Okay, that's good. Good. Have you noticed? I just learned this. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. When two men talk to each other, have you noticed how they face? They face at
Yeah.
kind of oblique angles there.
No, that explains things. Okay.
And so, okay, and men don't generally project high emotions to another man. But they're at two angles and they're kind of looking off in the distance, and they're not directing their personal energy towards the other person. So they're talking about things. Yeah, they can disagree, but they're talking about something that they're both focused on. Ideally, Now, if men face off square against each other, okay, now that's threatening to a man, threatening to the other man. That's the fight posture.
Yeah. Yeah. I did this some of with my when I had to do some counseling or sit down with people at church and stuff. I noticed that conversations are a lot more confrontational than they needed to be if we sat across from one another. So I purposely did it so we weren't sitting across from one another, but kind of angled. And those meetings generally went better.
Well, right. So now when women talk, okay, I think, and we'd need Elena here to confirm this, but they generally face each other. And
Yeah.
when they're facing each other, do women talk about ideas or do
No.
they convey emotions?
Emotions, they talk about relationships, the people that they know, how they feel, and da 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 da.
So the emotional energy, her emotions, is actually directed straight at the other person, at the other woman. And okay, you know from being a man that when a woman directs emotions at you, it feels like energy, and you need to know what to do with that energy. Do you screen it off, or when it gets through and penetrates you, and you start acting emotionally, then things escalate. But so men kind of innately learn to develop a filter or a barrier to intense emotions. Now, it's not perfect, not all men have it, but in general, that's the best way for a man to function. You have
Eh,
a barrier to emotions. I don't think women generally have that barrier.
and you're seeing less and less in men as testosterone rates have plummeted. Less and less of a barrier, and they start being liable to more kind of an emotional thought and communication style. So it's not just like the effeminate ideology, but there's also a biological aspect that effeminizes men.
Right. But we're talking about, and remember, we're talking about women to
Not women,
women.
right? Right. I'm
Okay.
just saying
So,
you see that you can start seeing that even in when men's testosterone levels kind of start lowering and
yeah,
approaching what a woman's
absolutely.
levels are. Yeah.
Yeah. But, to understand why oftentimes can't women get along? Well, one woman is just blasting out her emotions to the other woman. That causes the other woman to feel emotions, which gets blasted back, and it becomes a enhancement. Each woman enhances or in intensity spiral,
Oh yeah.
uh, and when you're in your emotions, any disagreement is negating the other's emotions, and it's not affirming. So it's emotional. So here's the other thing women tend to do: they placate and pander. So if a woman comes to another woman talking about how nasty her husband is, it's a big risk for that woman to say, hold on, wait a minute.
Huh?
I know this guy. Are you telling? I don't quite, there's something here might not be making sense. No. Oh, hell no.
You rarely ever see that,
Because that
especially
doesn't
today. Yeah.
happen, because that's a big risk. Because in the process, a woman is not affirming the emotions of the other woman. So no matter how absurd the claim, uh, you say, "Oh yeah," because if it's not about you, it's not. If It's not about the two of them. It's not a threat to the other woman. And so, oh yes, you poor thing. I understand how you feel. So, okay, there really is, it's not about talking about facts or truth. It's not about solving a problem. It's just about affirming the emotions of another woman, the other woman. This, okay, now I could be entirely wrong here because I'm not
No,
a
I've
woman.
seen it. Look, it's a generalization. And
Yeah,
it's more prevalent because there's no checks and balances. There's no accountability in this society currently. They have not been taught different. They've been encouraged to think that way. And no man can ever step in and tell them and correct them how to properly do things. You just have to let women loose and be themselves and find themselves and spiral out of control and further chaos.
yeah. So Elena is tuning in on her phone. So we want to involve her in here. She says, I don't think women make any sense. Too much drama and emotions. Well, it's just emotions going back and forth. And back to that point that I made. Can emotions understand emotions? I'm theorizing that the answer is no.
No, you can just recognize you could it's almost see this is where you don't hear about sympathy anymore, right? Sympathy has been hijacked and become synonymous with empathy. Sympathy is not void of reason, but empathy is where you can almost you have to identify with that person, whether they're right or wrong in their emotion.
Uh, damn, you gotta, if you, oh, okay, well, someone's aware. Okay, window. Nix is laughing at me. I gotta find out where my notes are. Maybe I should. Oh, here they are. It's the one I had up before. The female friendship facade. Okay. You can tell I'm an amateur at this. You know what? I'm never gonna make any money off this YouTube stuff. I don't care.
And we don't.
Well, where is it?
What are you looking for?
Um, this one?
Are you looking for your notes?
Yeah,
Here, here.
yeah, this
There you
one.
go. So I could have pulled them up for you.
I know. Okay, so this is what I wrote. Women tend toward emotion and men tend toward reason. This can create conflict between women and men, but women often have drama with other women. I think we kind of went through why that is. A man can learn to improve communication with a woman through use of game. Oh, we've mentioned game before, and that gets a bad rap. The essence of game is improving communication, and thus it is useful for stoking passion and desire from a woman. Okay, that's where it gets all the criticism. But this is not the only purpose of game, since it can be used to make communication more fun, to avoid negative reactions, and leave positive feelings. Okay,
It's like a
just
salesman. Oh, you learn
yeah,
to be a salesman.
yeah, okay, that's just being a salesman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the typical communication between women is one of them emotes and the other placates and panders. It is therefore somewhat disingenuous, and the truth is suborned to avoiding conflict. That's why they do it. When both emote to each other, conflict is the result. If one woman tries to use reason in response to emotion, conflict is the typical result. Yeah. Have you ever tried? Okay. Was your ex-wife ever upset with you, Nick?
Oh man.
Okay.
Sometimes I didn't know what I did.
Did you ever try to use facts and
Oh
reason
yeah.
and logic?
And oh, you tell it never worked. Well,
Okay,
sometimes it did, but most of the time it didn't.
well, yeah, it really doesn't work because it
And then I
negates
say,
your
calm
emotions.
down. That's making everything worse.
You're trying to convince her to not feel the way she's feeling, but her feelings are real, so
Yeah.
therefore you're wrong. Okay, so a woman, let's say she's a rational woman or a woman in her rational mind talking to a woman that's emoting, and she tries to bring reason into that. It doesn't fucking work. It just doesn't work.
Oh yeah, they get mad. That's usually when cat fights start and one, goes off in a huff and you know.
Yeah. The reason it doesn't work is because women value affirmation of their feelings.
Yeah.
Negation or using reason to counter emotions is felt as a personal attack for not affirming the feelings and the experience of a woman. She will not feel understood. Women should be able to understand this dynamic because it is often how a woman feels when communicating with a man. Okay, I'm saying theoretically, this is a hopeful thing. I'm saying, okay, women, you don't understand that now, but you have experienced how things go with communicating with a man and how it makes you feel. Okay, so use that experience and apply it to woman. And okay, now maybe you can get an inkling why these woman to woman female friendships have such difficulty. And reason will not win over emotion. It never does. A woman or man, because we've seen this in men too, will never change their emotionally held opinion or feelings based on presentation of facts or logic. You cannot talk somebody into, especially a woman, you cannot talk her into feeling differently by saying, well, you're basically saying, well, you shouldn't feel that way.
You can't
And you think,
negotiate
well,
desire.
fuck
You
you.
can't
I feel this way. My feelings are real. Who the
uh,
fuck are you to tell me I shouldn't feel this way? I do.
well, have you something there's some phrase, I'm not sure if I got it exactly right. Well, what the red pill teaches, you can't manufacture or you can't negotiate genuine burning desire.
Yeah. So, okay, now let's talk about game. Game is a skill set that can be learned by men. So, why shouldn't it also be learned by women? Okay, game is essentially how to deal with an emotional person. Okay, that's my definition of game. Yes, yes, it can be used for nefarious purposes. But does a salesman, as Nick said, is essentially using game.
Hmm?
So is he using it for nefarious purposes? Well, I guess he is. He's trying to sell that $2,000 car for $3,000 or
Hmm.
$20,000 car for 30,000. Okay, well, yeah, okay. This is life.
Hey, we got to eat
It
too.
it
Salesman's got to
doesn't
eat too.
It doesn't have to be used for that, but it certainly can be. So,
I actually use that line. I use that line actually with a man at work. I said, I increased my profit by like, $300-$400. Like, look, I got to bring bread on the table. How about we cut this, agree in the middle and buy here, and then I can have bread on my table tonight. He's like, oh, you need to have food on time? I'm like, yeah, I don't do this for free. He's like, yeah, I'll sign right here.
oh,
So you
so
could use reason as a salesman generally with other men, but with women, yeah, not so much. You got to make them feel something.
okay,
It-
but okay,
Women
so
want the experience. They want was it the dog and pony show? You ever heard that?
yeah,
Yeah. They like that. And you know what? They would feel ripped off if they didn't get the dog and pony show.
well, in sales,
Yeah.
aren't you taught that when the transaction is done, the other party should feel good about it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, salesmanship. Isn't game just salesmanship? And understanding how to deal with conflict. Okay, sales, if you're a car salesman, selling a car is confrontational. You have the car, you want a certain amount of money. They want the
Mhm.
car. They don't want to give that amount of money. So
Yep.
there's negotiation, but it's a conflict. You're each posturing. Okay, you're kind of going head to head here
Yeah.
in greater or lesser degree, but it's conflict, and that's the salesman manages that conflict, and so you don't want to get bloody before you come to an agreement. You want both parties to feel good. And so you're using your salesmanship to do this. So if we explain game this way, uh, potentially a woman should she can be aware of how game influences her and potential devious intentions by men. Okay, if a man's trying to pick you up and he's using game, hey, you should know a little bit about this so you can understand what he's doing. But you also need to understand how uh, it affects you. And, when you go in to buy a car, how the guy's using salesmanship or game to influence you. Okay, you know it exists. So, okay, now, gee, maybe you can learn something about this. With this
Yeah.
understanding, she ideally she may be able to activate the logical part of her brain in communicating with other women instead of reacting to the emotions of the other woman and projecting her emotions toward the other woman. Remember that woman facing woman head on. Remember,
Mhm.
if, as a woman, you cannot control the other woman. Just like a man cannot control another man, a man cannot control a woman.
Well,
So the only thing you can control is yourself. So you got to take a part of your brain and pull it aside to kind of stand over and observe how you are reacting, what she's doing. Keep a part of this aside and learn how to filter some of this intense emotions. But I will also say you will never learn how to do this unless you learn a little bit of self discipline about how emotions impact you. As an individual woman, keep a part of your brain separate to observe how you're acting. And when you're in your emotions, to ask some questions to yourself. Okay, I'm not saying this is easy, just presenting the concept here. So, in summary, Game is merely a tool, and it
Okay.
can be used for good or evil. Game requires using reason to understand and affect emotions. It is indirect in the use of influence rather than a frontal assault.
Well, Elena's got some things she's trying to say, so I'll put them up on the screen.
Okay. So we're going to next go to Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man by Joseph W. South, David Clare, and Franco. I'll stop sharing this and you can
Okay.
talk about
So,
it, what she
all
said.
right. Since this is her show, she says, I think women were more rational, more down to earth before the sexual revolution. The circumstances forced them to make better decisions. Yeah, I agree. They were raised differently too. The environment was different. They had different standards, and society held them accountable more so. Not totally. They could still kind of get away with this, and they still did it, but it was more under control, I think.
Yeah. She's got another one up there. Why don't you
All
bring
right, I'll
that?
put that up. She says women were convinced to be entitled bitches through feminist propaganda. Going the opposite way is not going to be nice and appealing to them. Yeah.
Absolutely. But if you're not nice to another woman, you're not affirming, which means you are negating how they feel. That's unaffirming. And them's fighting. You're going to lead to conflict. And that's the end of the friendship.
Female
So,
logic explained.
remember at the beginning of this, I said
Are we
reason.
mansplaining? Are we mansplaining, Steve?
Oh, hell yes, we are.
And we don't care. So what?
Hey, you know what? We're mansplaining women to women.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from the book Practical Female Psychology. Let me pull up my hard copy here. Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man. This was an early Manosphere era book, published in 2008. It's one of the first books I read. And I highly recommend the book. So, this relates to our previous discussions on what is the red pill, but it also directly relates here. Now, this Practical Female Psychology is a book for men to understand women. I don't know of a good book for women to understand women. So, my recommendation is they look to this book about how men should understand women and how women behave. First, understand how women react, behave, feel. Say, does that apply to you? Okay, now you have knowledge about yourself as a woman. Then you can use this knowledge to at least insulate yourself from the intense emotions of another woman. But what did we say about red pill? What's a desire of red pill?
To awaken to the world's feminist lies.
Well,
Part of
no.
that's part of it. That's part of it.
Okay, well, let me just read this. For ages,
Mhm.
men have considered female logic or the female way of thinking to be one of the greatest mysteries in the universe. Psychoanalysts, philosophers, and poets have spent countless amounts of time agonizing over this topic. No shit. What's the red pill about? Same fucking thing. And then the
And you
good
know what
news is,
FSL is, right?
no.
So we're talking about female logic. So put insert the S.
Okay. So the good news is that female logic, also known as chick logic,
FSL.
which really isn't logical,
It's
but
FSL.
can be explained to men in a perfectly understandable way. You will learn how female logic works, just like you can learn the functions of a computer or the technical specifications of a car. Okay, remember when I said emotion cannot understand emotion, but reason can understand emotion? Okay, men, the red pill men have saying, okay, here's what's going on. Here's the behavior. It's confused me. I need to study this, understand what's going on. Okay, well, we use this for a good purpose. Now, okay. Now, maybe you can read this part, Nick. The calculus of
Of
emotion.
emotion. So the calculus of emotion. Female logic is based on a calculus of emotion, allowing a woman to understand her current emotional state as a no, as a causal result of a chain of external factors. That these factors may be physically illogical or irrational is emotionally irrelevant. Men typically have a great deal of trouble following women's physically non-causal emotional reasoning and don't understand that to the woman accepting the emotion is much more important than determining a logical or rational underlying cause. Female logic can be visualized as a sequence of emotional states along of the lines of the imaginary chain. B to C to X to Y to Z. So, or is it B, therefore C, therefore X, therefore Y, therefore Z,
Uh,
therefore U, or A, B?
B causes C, causes X, causes
Yeah.
Y, causes Z, causes U, causes A, causes B.
Causes blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
So it's
continue.
basically, it's just a emotion, but it's not really where it says where the elements are absolutely not required to be in what men would consider logical, rational, or physically causal correlation between each other. Okay, that makes sense now. Okay. Instead, these states are correlated in terms of how the emotion B was the cause within the woman of the emotion C and of the emotion X and so on, without any other correlation between each of the other elements whatsoever, and where there is no certainty about it, which element may or may not be the cause of the next one in the sequence. So, in other words, does not compute.
Uh,
Does not compute.
okay, Nick, does this explain anything to you?
Yeah, that's why they shouldn't be programmers. Oh man.
Okay, but yeah, this chain is illogical.
Hmm.
It one causes the next, but it's illogical. But you can use logic to understand that, hey, this thing is illogical.
Yeah.
Okay, now you already have a greater grasp on it. Okay, so women are going to have to, I have to keep bringing it back to women to women. So if you understand that you act this way and the other woman is acting this way, and these emotions are going back and forth, uh, yeah, where's this going? Okay, now, absolutely, a woman is not flawed to think this way because this is how a woman is. There's no defect here. It's just what is.
Oh, I think there is a defect in how they're raised.
Well, okay, you need to train a woman with discipline, and a father can provide some uh, teaching to temper this so she can at least comprehend this. So let's go to the footnote. Okay, this is the bad use of game. Men who manipulate women often turn tables on women by employing this same sort of reasoning. The authors view this as an abrogation of masculinity. Men should lead, not manipulate. Okay, do not use this for nefarious purposes. But absolutely use this knowledge. Two, a man should use the knowledge to improve his communications with a woman. And a, a woman can
And
kind of
understand.
can possibly just, first of all, you need an idea before you can implement it and improve your communication or your understanding. So this is just introducing the idea to women.
Mhm.
Okay, learn from how men have learned to deal with women. And you're going to have to take this and apply it to yourself. Okay, so it says, no, they are making broad generalizations here. Well, yeah, they are. Not always true. Okay, and we're saying this right here. Okay, so there is hope. Some women employ chick logic exclusively, other women not so much. But in our experience, most women will resort to emotional reasoning when under the influence of powerful, uncomfortable emotional states or in uncomfortable social circumstances. So, guys, if you ever get in a divorce, you will be divorcing an emotional woman. No matter how rational she may have been previously, in this high stress situation, she will be highly emotional. So don't think that logic is going to work. And I'm just using that as an example.
Yep. Elena says chick somehow reminds me of crack. So chick crack.
Hey, what is chick crack?
uh FSL.
I think it's romance novels.
Oh yeah. Oh, emotions. Yeah, stoking the emotions.
Uh huh.
Yeah. And Elena says women not raised how to be self-disciplined. Yeah.
Very true.
She says no, here she chick crack astrology.
Yeah. Bring up the previous one.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I see a lot of effort on the men's part to better communicate with women, not so much on the women's side. Okay,
Yeah.
well, Red Pill was community developed by men to better understand and share this to improve understanding for whatever purpose they wanted to use it for. And this book that I'm referencing here was written by men because men want to understand women to improve their life and the woman's life, not just their own. It's not always just self-serving.
Okay, I'm gonna make a comment here on the inner psychology of the female or the modern 304, right? A lot of times you see this in counseling and Christian counseling is, oh, they're just not good at communicating, meaning that the bed's probably dried up. She's mad that he's not. he doesn't want to completely identify with her emotions. She's frustrated. Okay, there could be a lot of other things. Like, it is not about the communication. I guarantee you it's not about the communication. I guarantee you it's about genuine burning desire and lack of respect. So women a lot to say it's about communication. No, don't listen to the counselor. You don't need to be her best friend and identify with all her stupid ass feelings. No.
Okay, Elena's getting right to this here. Do you think women want to understand men to the extent that men want to understand women? Oh no. In this counseling and all this, a woman just wants her emotions, her feelings affirmed. She really has no desire to understand the motivations or feelings of her husband.
No.
That's not her goal. So
No.
yeah, women don't really give a shit about understanding men in most cases.
Well, there's a little truth to this. Is what is the thing? Is they wait at the finish line to
To get to be the wife of the winner.
yeah, they don't care about your struggle. They just want to see if you win or not. Now, I'm not saying they completely don't care about your struggle, but they pick the winner.
Yeah. So here's Elena's next comment. Men are so much better at communicating than most women today.
Yeah.
Maybe some men. Maybe in general, yeah. And then it's a one-side game. Yeah, in a lot of ways it is. I'm not complaining about that. I mean, once okay, this is just red pill. Okay. Do I want it to be that way? No. Should it be that way? No. Is it that way? Yeah, well, it is. So I damn well better just accept that and deal with it. So
So
let's
it's
keep.
interesting. It's like they care about the emotions of women, right? So women tend to care about the emotions and buy into the emotions of women.
Do they really? Do they care about the emotions of the other woman? Or do they just not want to negate the emotions of the other woman?
I mean, I think some care. But yeah, I think there's also pressure not to negate, though.
Yeah.
There's the sisterhood. You can't go against the sisterhood.
Oh, Elena's phone is glitching now. I would imagine she's feeling a bit emotional because this is her stream. She was excited about doing this, and she can't be here. Oh, that's too bad. I mean, really, she would add a lot to this. So I'll keep reading. Some women's behavior is primarily driven by their emotions. In many cases, these women share their feelings with you in a balanced way, having developed very good control over their emotions. Yeah, because they had a good father. In other cases, women can be prone to discharge their problems on you in a massive way. Neither one of these types of women may have a functioning sense of causality between her emotional states. So they're still women. Both are still women and operating as women, but one is a bit more disciplined and better in control. Trying to apply male logic to women and their emotional states is therefore inappropriate and it only leads to frustration in the male attempting the analysis. Okay, so you found a logical woman. And oh joy, I can deal with her as if she's a man.
No.
No, not true. It is important to note that the female emotionality is of an inward nature. Franco, one of the authors, believes this is strictly connected with pregnancy and motherhood. This may appear in some women as extreme self-centeredness. In reality, this trait is a positive strength created by nature to achieve the maximum well-being in a woman's body and in her psyche in preparation for creation of new life. It may sometimes seem to you that your woman is unable to feel empathy towards your needs as a man. Oh, I'd say no shit. For this reason, it is crucial for a modern man to be totally non-needy in any relationship with a woman. Okay, and then it goes on to other things here. Okay, we're just reading a small excerpt from this book. I No one's talked about this book for a long time.
Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man
Yes.
by Joseph W. South, David Clare, and Franco. Okay. Elena says, don't you think it's because men care to understand women better? Women choose to be more delusional and entitled. Mm. Yeah. I think the problem is we don't want to give women agency. We just want to write everything off biologically. I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of these studies. It comes from a purely materialistic worldview. That'd be my criticism. But nonetheless, you must understand their biological, psychological makeup and nature, and still doesn't have an impact. But they don't have to be mere animals. Where'd you go, Steve?
I'll be back.
Steve left the building. All right. So there we go. Elena says, women are going to be women no matter how rational they are. That's true. And that's what it so women should, study. And I think the problem is in this whole lesson is you're hoping you find some reasonable women, right? When they interact with other women to use reason, right? Something that's maybe not the first thing that would come according to their nature. They want to understand each other's emotions and affirm each other's emotions. So you're asking something that's generally outside of the way they are raised or their purview. Where'd you go, Steve?
I had to drain the tank.
Okay. But did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, women are going to be women. Don't try to make women something, a man with tits. It's, it's just not going to
Hey,
work.
so I actually wonder if that is some of the reason for the Skittles people.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't given any thought to that.
Okay.
I mean, gee, did two guys, Nick and I, do any justice to this subject about can women be friends with women? Yeah. Okay. Well, two guys talking about women friendships, it may seem totally inappropriate.
Hell yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think women understand women because a woman doesn't understand how her brain works and what all those causations, A leads to B, leads to X, leads to Y, leads to C. She's not tracking that. She's just feeling what she's feeling right now, and how she's feeling right now is real. It's really how she's feeling. So the facts of how she got there is just completely immaterial. While she's in her emotional thinking stage, that's where she's at. Now, if she's not, if she's been trained and she can get out of that emotional thinking state to a certain extent, okay, then she might be able to process through this.
But you're not going to be able to do that if a woman's raised to raised without a father, raised wrongly, raised to be disrespectful. How dare you try to like, hey, let's kind of, I know you're feeling this way, like a man could say, I know you're feeling this way. Let's take a step back and let's talk about it here in a minute. Let's cool off, then we'll reevaluate. Women go
Nick,
berserk these days.
Nick,
They go berserk.
how dare you mansplain a woman to a woman? How dare you?
Oh, well, maybe, is it an exercise in futility, Steve, for a
What?
woman with a woman?
No. No, Nick. Nick, that's black pill.
I know. That's why I asked the question.
It's not. Hey, it's a challenge.
Yep.
Okay, as I said before, yeah, you're gonna have your black pill days. Okay, that's fine. Nothing's worth it. I'm just taking my Tonka toys and going home. Okay,
Sure.
well,
Women could probably feel that way with their friends and other women some days too, I'm guessing. Especially the more reasonable ones. They'd be like, I'm just giving up. I don't want to be friends with women.
well, if you're a woman that spends more time in a logical state and can see things, you can see how they get really fed up with other women, and they don't want to be friends with women. They get really frustrated, but that same woman can still be highly emotional at times,
Yeah.
because that's just how women are. I'm kind of describing Elena here. It's probably not fair to say she's highly emotional. She is emotional, but she is upset, and she's wondering why these friendships with other women are so problematical. Well, because they're all based on placating and pandering to each other in soothing and affirming feelings, regardless if it's based in fact or reality, or even what's ultimately good for the other woman or herself. It could be completely in la la land. But as long as you soothe the feelings and you don't create conflict, oh, okay, it's all good.
Yeah, we saw that. And her husband recognized it too.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, her husband, Plutarch, does a good job in recognizing this stuff, and he's glad he has a woman that can think reasonably at times.
Hey, that's not a criticism. That's a high
No.
compliment.
Yeah.
Really, a woman who can think critically at times. Hey, that's great. That's really, guys, that's the best you're gonna do. Because other times she's gonna think critically about that, and then she's gonna get emotional about what she critically thought about, and that's gonna piss her off. And then she'll get all passionate about that. Okay, well, gee, did you not want a woman?
Oh, look. And part of the reason I think women are having so much trouble, especially reasonable women, is because there's not how many are raised by single mothers? See, a lot of times we want to throw how single mothers mess up men, right?
They
No,
do.
being raised with only a single mother also messes up the daughters because
It
it's
does.
emotion leading emotion leading emotion. There's not a stable father who can earn respect, who can step in and correct a situation and shape that young lady to be able to think rationally, to be under control, and to respect a man.
Okay, I thought of this analogy. Nick, are you old enough to have played the video game Pong?
Yeah, I played that.
Okay, how does that work?
You have a little controller, if it's the Atari one, right?
Yeah.
But you have a ball that bounces back and forth. And
Okay, but you got an opponent, right?
that's
You ever
correct.
played? Okay, so you bounce the ball to their side. They have to catch that ball and bounce it back to you. And then what happens over time? It speeds
Uh,
up.
hmm
So you end up going zoom, 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 back and forth. And it's basically, let's call that the emotions going back and forth between woman to woman. And it just increases until
hmm Boom.
someone loses,
Uh-huh.
someone misses, sending it back in a positive way. And okay, that's the end of the friendship.
Oh, I've
End the
seen it. And it's all because one person got their emotions over on the other person, and somehow they had a falling out. Chaos causes chaos. If there's no order, you have to have order imposed on chaos. So it's like the cycle of sin, right? So in when I did like some pastoral counseling lessons, we talk about sin. If sin is irrational, right? I'm not saying
Sure.
emotion's all irrational and it's all bad. No, emotion's fine. It needs to be regulated by reason, sure. But if you have this unregulated emotion, so it's an irrational emotion. It means more irrational emotion to more irrational emotion. It's going to keep cycling further and further and further out of control. You can't hope for order out of chaos. You can't hope for rationality out of irrationality.
Well, maybe this is why men and women were created for each other.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes, a lot of times, I'll say that about me. You know what? I love having a woman in my life because I need a little bit of passion injected into me. I need a little bit of excitement. I need some emotion. I need a purpose. A woman adds so much to my life. But a woman, okay, in my belief, was not created to be an independent creature. She was created as a helpmeet to Adam. So under Adam's, uh, under the hierarchy, he can help her live with her emotions and learn to control her emotions and somewhat learn to control her. Because you know what? I believe women can be frustrated that they can't control themselves and they end up flying all over the place and flying off the handle. And
Mhm.
oftentimes they may be grateful to a man to help them be the woman that doesn't get all erratic. But that requires a little bit of reflection and knowledge for a woman to reach that standpoint. He's not controlling you or managing you, whatever. Okay, I'm looking for kind of a mild dynamic here.
He's not trying to control. He's not trying to beat you over the head.
He's not trying to do it to be a tyrant.
He's trying to redirect. He's trying to redirect you in the proper direction you need to go.
And maybe he's trying to manage
that way's bad. That way's going to end up bad for you. I'm trying to nudge you in this better direction.
I'm trying to manage you for your own contentment.
Right. But isn't that emotional abuse?
Well, it's seen that way.
Oh, so a man being a man, trying to be under control and wanting, a woman to not destroy herself basically is emotional abuse these days.
Yeah. So hold on. I can predict the future. Because one thing I tease Elena about on these Saturday mornings is she gets to come on here. She gets to use up all these words. I mean, she's anticipating it Friday. Saturday, she comes in here and she enjoys it. Well, you know what? She's had all those words bottled up. She's not been able to use them today. So you can bet there is going to be a hell of a article on her Patreon or Patreon, or what's the other one? She does and she does Substack.
Plutarch's gonna have a let's pull this week. Oh. Yeah, he likes it when we come on here because she can use all those words on us.
Yeah. And while she's talking to us, he sleeps in.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a running joke between the three of us, or four of us, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Elena says women need the guidance of a masculine man. Huh? You mean nature and teaches that, and you mean God kind of created the family dynamic and structure that way? Imagine that. Imagine when you wreck all of that. Huh, isn't there a lot of chaos? Isn't the world getting more and more screwed up? I imagine why.
Okay, so a woman, the majority of divorces are instigated by women. So that woman is divorcing because she's not happy for whatever reason, needs to go find herself, whatever. Okay, are divorced women happier 5 years down the road? Are they happier? Are they happier 10 years down the road? What do you think, Nick?
No. They're not happier. Oh, I'll put it this way. There are some exceptions where they can be happier. Say the guy was just a well, he wasn't just quote unquote abusive. He actually really was. Like he was beating the pulp out of her, right? She might be happier. Or that the guy was effing around on her all the time and, she never had, spent all the money on liquor and beer and never had anything to provide for her kids. Yes, she might be happier. But that's the exception. This is actually not the norm. So most of them are not happier.
Yep.
They might convince themselves that they're happier, but they're not.
Yep. So when Elena is excited to talk to us, but she's disappointed that she can't. Yeah, as I said, Substack articles. Yeah. She's gonna have a good one. And then feminist mindset, nature is associated with the goddess.
So when we use nature, we're usually talking about, biology, the makeup of the world, or something like natural law. So yeah, so it's not Mother Nature, not this goddess astrology and all that pagan BS. No.
Deep. If you take nature and you add some chick crack to that, you'll come up with the goddess.
Yeah. There. Oh, they delude themselves, Elena says, with self-love, self-worth, self-value, shit crack. Oh, you mean they make idols after their own image? After their own likeness? Ooh, oh, that's idolatry. Oh, interesting. So we're saying a lot of these feminist 304s are actually idolaters. They worship themselves. Even though they say, "Oh, I worship the trees and the nature in my Eastern mysticism, and in my astrology." It's all about self-worship.
So, Elena says she sees a lot of divorced women on social media saying that they are happy. Okay. Well, are they happy or do they just want to rationalize what they did and encourage other women to take the same path so they can all be in the same situation together?
Well, that's another thing. It's like they convince themselves that they're happy. You go, girl.
Well,
Um, they're not
yeah.
happy. Well, also what you see on social media is fake as shit. It's fake.
Yeah, I've also seen a lot of women crying about how bad the dating scene is when they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They can't find a man. No man wants them. And any man that wants them is just wanting to sleep with them. And no, it's just miserable out there. Oh, gee. Yeah, who'd have thunk?
Oh, you mean there's consequences for being a dumb bitch?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I am hiding from those women. Nope, not
No.
interested. So where are all the good men? You divorced us. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm good.
we're good. I'm not looking. Hey, there I might find somebody someday, but I ain't looking. Hey, you know what? I got peace.
Yeah. Peace. But you don't have a piece. Piece.
Yeah.
Hey, men is to cope with their situation. Men often just we make jokes about this stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it offends people, but it's our way of coping with things and acknowledging our situation. It's kind of making you make fun of yourself, you make fun of your buddy. Okay, yeah,
That's what men do.
you laugh, and then okay, yeah, you got me right.
Yeah.
So next week, I've already proposed the idea with Elena that I don't think anybody's ever done the topic of a father adult daughter dynamics.
Oh, Rollo talks about that in one of his books. He's got
Okay.
like the red pill father and red pill daughters. Should check that out. So yeah, that sounds like a good conversation.
So yeah, I don't have that. If you can find that portion in Rollo's
Yeah,
book,
it's in I think positive masculinity in his book.
okay.
Yeah.
But, you know that's a topic that has not been talked about. At least
Yeah.
I've not heard about that. So Elena and I are going to tackle that one.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't have all the bells and whistles of our typical stream because Nick and I are dependent on Elena and Plutarch for a lot of this stuff. But okay, Nick and I and Plutarch are on the show, the channel, uh, the Resurgence of Sanity. It's right under Nick's Christianity Unplugged name.
At
So
the resurgence of sanity. So please like and subscribe. And what were you saying, Steve?
on Monday, 7:45 Central, 5:45 Pacific, we have our show Exposing the Narrative. And this topic is going to be on the sophists, part 2. Sophists are a bunch of Greek guys back in the olden days when Greek people, when Greek was the center of civilization. They were the opposition, the political opposition. And we're going to kind of relate that to Red Pill and how the guys, at least us guys in the Red Pill, are promoting a certain philosophy, ideology, praxeology, tenets of the Red Pill, whatever you want to call it. And there's pushback. And so we're going to use the sophists, the analogy of the sophists, as explanation of those who are pushing back against us. Is it a real pushback? Is it pushback for a good reason? Well, tune in. And on Wednesday,
I think
countercultural sexuality. That's going to be about men, modern men are essentially bond servants to women. Do I have that right, Nick?
is Elena's father-in-law going to be on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plutarch's father. This is his thought. He brought this up. So we're going to explore that. I think there is some merit in this idea. Hey, no analogy is perfect. But that's why we talk about those and explore them and pick out the gems in there. So, anything more you want to say? Okay, so tune in to the Resurgence of Sanity. And you got to type in the whole thing because our channel is so small that it doesn't really pop up very well in your YouTube searches. So you got to specifically look for us. But hey, we got some pretty unique stuff. One of the things that we're notorious for is preparing notes.
Yeah. We can be kind of dry, but we like it.
So, yeah, okay, we're not going to be rambling all over the place. We're going to be, starting with a thought, and we'll go over here, and then we'll come back and go up here and come back and maybe spiral around and end up over here. But we're going to kind of try and stay on topic. So I think that's it, Nick. You want to
All
take
right,
us
guys,
out?
please. All right, guys, please like and subscribe to Elena's Bar Fitness. And please join us on the days she has all our stuff. She has our debunking. Hold on, I'll set this differently. I'm gonna remove her debunking feminist lies Tuesdays at 11:15 a.m. Pacific, 1:15 p.m. Central, and 2:15 p.m. Eastern.